By now you have learned that digital cameras, including cellular telephone cameras, record metadata about the camera inside every photo that is taken. This data is embedded into the photo itself. It is not seen on the surface, but if you look through the proper viewers, you can see that metadata and learn about the camera that took that photo. This was all explained in previous videos, but this video will talk about video metadata. Just like the way that cameras store data about the devices within photos, they also store data about those devices in videos. Video metadata has been around a long time. However, for many years, it was difficult to acquire. You had to have what's called a hex viewer. You had to look at the header of the actual file and extract raw data and you would then find pieces of metadata within that file that could be used for analysis in an investigation. Well, today that's much easier thanks to software. What we are going to do is use a free software program, but we're not going to use the graphical user interface. We're going to use the command line feature, and we're going to automate the collection and reporting of video metadata. So remember, every video that you take with your cellular telephone records data about that device and stores that data inside every video that it creates. Our goal now is to extract that data. We are going to use a program called Media Info, which can be downloaded at mediaarea.net, but it is also included in your software pack that you already have access to. Media Info is a standalone program. It has a graphical user interface, and it works for Windows and Mac. And that interface allows you to select a video and see information about it, but instead we're going to use the command line option because it is immediate, and it allows us to do some advanced features that could be beneficial to you. In your software pack, you have an icon called Video Metadata. When you click on that icon, it opens up a standard batch file that will execute commands for you within the Media Info program itself. Now, this batch file has 3 things that you must have. You must know the full name of the video file. That includes the file extension, and this file must be on your desktop. So we will go grab some files here, and we will test these and see how they work for us. So let's look at the first video. The title of the video, the name of it, is 1.mov. It's a 5-second video. It simply shows a keyboard, nothing too exciting there. We don't care about the content of the video right now. We care about the metadata behind the scenes. So now that I have this video on my desktop, that's the vital piece for my program to work, it asks for the full name of the video file on desktop. So we type in 1.mov. And when I press enter, what will happen is the Media Info program will look at that video file and extract the metadata from that file. It will then parse it and make it in a nice, easy-to-read format. It will then save what it finds into a text file, and it will save that text file to our desktop. It will even name that text file the title of our video with .txt at the end. This will happen immediately, and then the batch file will also open that file for us so we can see it right away. So all I have to do is hit the enter key now, and it's done. We see that we have a new text file on our desktop called 1.mov.txt, and let's see what it found out. It has the complete name of our video file, which we already had. We now know that that video has an MPEG-4 file format. It's made by QuickTime. That's the codec that's used. We know the exact size is 545 kilobits. We know the exact duration is 5 seconds and 488 milliseconds. We have the overall bit rate, and we have the exact date and time that that video file was saved to that camera or device. Now that's important because we know from computer forensic experience that sometimes the date and time on a file is not accurate. It might depend on the computer that it was downloaded to, or the date and time could reflect when it was downloaded, not when it was saved. This date and time is created from the phone that created the video file. This date and time comes from the phone, which gets its date time from a cell phone tower, which syncs that globally, so that's an accurate date and time. So if I have a date and time stamped video file, and I have a different date and time visible in the metadata of that video file, I would always recommend relying on the date and time within that metadata. It is much more likely to be correct. We also know this is an Apple video. The device, the phone that took this video is an Apple phone. We see down here it's an iPhone 5. We can see that it's running iOS 6.1.4. And here we can see the GPS latitude and longitude of the user when he or she saved that video file. And if we copy that, we can actually take that into Google Maps, simply paste it in. I like to add a comma to separate it. And now we can see the location of where that video file was captured. From there, it gives us a lot of information that we might not want. It's mostly of the video and codecs and size and the frame rate, the aspect ratio. Those probably aren't as important in regards to evidence. Let's do one more example. Let's close these. We'll actually even delete these. We don't need those. We'll relaunch video metadata. And here's another video that I have on my desktop. It's called number2.mov. It's a brief video of a broken computer monitor. So we type in the file name 2.mov, hit enter, and we see that that is an MPEG-4 QuickTime, 1 meg, 10 seconds, the exact date and time. We know that that was taken with an iPhone 4S. The operating system was 6.1.3, and again, we see a latitude and longitude. If we copy that, take it to Google Maps, paste, add a comma, we can now see where that video was uploaded or saved. I should rephrase that, or the video was saved, not necessarily uploaded. So basically, we're getting the same type of information. Now there's one piece we haven't discussed. This final number here after the latitude and longitude is based on the accelerometer of the phone. The accelerometer is that thing that tells your phone which direction it's facing, whether it's looking up or down, and whether your phone is moving. It's the hardware that knows when you've turned your phone horizontal versus vertical. What this is telling us is that it's possible this person was facing southeast when they recorded the video. I don't put a ton of faith in that number. I've seen it be wrong in the past. I've also seen it be completely accurate. So it's there as a suggestion, but please don't assume that's always correct. So now we have these text files that we could then save with our suspect video, and that could be part of our evidence. That kind of data also is very impressive in your report. Now, before we go any further, we should talk about when this will work and when it will not. This method works great when you have an original video from an original source. For example, if you seized a cellular telephone and you have the legal authority to search the content of that phone, you will likely find videos. Those videos will all contain metadata about the device that took the video. It will identify whether or not an iPhone or an Android made those videos. If the geolocation settings were enabled on that camera of that phone, you will see a location based on GPS or cellular tower information, most likely based on GPS. You don't always get GPS data, but when you do, it's usually fairly accurate. If you had a video file that was sent via an MMS text message from your suspect, it will likely have metadata preserved. If you receive a video file sent via email from the suspect's phone, it will likely have metadata preserved, and you will see what we just saw here. But here's where it will not work. If you download a video from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or any other social network, you will not get metadata. That's because these networks, just like they do with their photos, eliminate the metadata from the videos on their sites. So you will not get that information. Here's the general rule. If you downloaded a video from any online video streaming service, do not expect metadata. If you obtain a video from a direct source, such as a cell phone, an email, or a text message, you are likely to see that metadata and you can access it. This metadata is often ignored by investigators, and I think we need to stop doing that. There's been a lot of times in my past where I've been given video files that were obtained directly from a suspect. Inside those video files, the metadata identified GPS of the suspect's home. If that data were not obtained through programs like this, that would be one heck of a lead that would go unnoticed. My suggestion is, every video that you encounter that you obtain from an original source, such as a device, check it through here and see if it has metadata. If you do find that metadata, include it in your report to have a much more thorough view of the content that you've discovered.